Because we're also trying to help to rehabilitate Al-Shabaab. People say, Al-Shabaab, oh my God, they're terrorists. If we don't rehabilitate and reintegrate people with trauma, they will transfer it onto our society. And you'll find in many of our communities in Kenya and beyond, people are transferring. We need to learn to transform. I believe I've been called to transform people.
What makes you believe that this is your calling?
Of course, we say you are what you believe, right? And so one of the key aspects of our training is the theme that we use. Minor shift, major change. When you think bad, it means it will make you feel bad. So people who feel bad think bad. But we get people to change the way they think and change the way they feel. If you can change the way you think and feel, you change the way you act. People who act bad think bad. But if you get people to change the way they think and change the way they feel and change the way they act, change the way they behave, people with bad behavior think bad.
Yeah.
If you can change people's thought process with mindfulness, changing the way they think, changing the way they feel, changing the way they act, changing the way they behave, to change the way they relate. If you have a bad thought about your partner, you'll have a bad feeling about your partner. You may have bad actions towards your partner. You may have bad behavior towards your partner. Through changing the way you think and feel and act and behave, you change the way you relate. Finally, if you can change the way you think and feel and act, behave and relate, you change the way you live with self, with others, with the world. And so the world starts to be a good place.
Welcome to The Search for Wellness, the podcast where we explore what it truly means to live a healthier, more fulfilling life. Each episode, we dive into inspiring stories, eye-opening conversations, and practical tools to help you nourish your mind, strengthen your body, and uplift your spirit. This is your space to learn, grow, and discover new ways to thrive one step at a time.
Today's guest, Paul Boyle, has spent over 35 years in conflict zones across Africa and the Middle East, witnessing and experiencing some of humanity's darkest moments. After developing severe trauma and CPTSD, he began his own healing journey, training as a therapist and developing trauma recovery models that truly transformed lives. Paul went on to found Healing the Healer, A New Hope for Africa, for Sudanese religious leaders, and later Al Bain Company in Kenya. His mission to help communities, leaders, and survivors reclaim hope and rebuild from deep emotional wounds. Welcome today, Paul. I'm so happy to have you here today, and I'm very excited for all that you are going to share with us today. So I'm going to go straight into our first question, Paul. Paul, what drew you into conflict and humanitarian work at such a young age? And how did those early years shape you and your worldview?
Don't know if you know how young I was.
No.
I had the impression or the inspiration or the want or the desire or the need to do this work. But I was 10.
10
years of age, we had a priest. He was old Father Hugh O'Donnell, was a missionary, and he came to our school and spoke about Africa. And he was vibrant and he loved Africa and worked in schools and transforming children and communities, and he was full of life. And I said to myself, I want to be like that guy one day. And sure I did. I ended up wanting to go to Africa, and I've actually worked in 39 countries. I've taught stress management, trauma healing, but particularly in areas of conflict and war. You know, one of the greatest effects of people having trauma is from war and conflict.
Yeah.
So I've actually lived in all these war zones and conflict zones. If I may give you a few examples.
Of course.
Ukraine, Syria, Lebanon, Ethiopia, there's been a lot of conflict there. Rwanda, Burundi, Central African Republic, and Sudan, of course, South Sudan, and many, many other countries, Rwanda and many countries. So I don't say that I have been attracted to war or conflict because it's terrible, but I always tell people, like today I was teaching a group of people working with poor slum dwellers. Each one of us is called by name, and I was called, Paul, you better get to Africa. Chosen. Chosen for what? A purpose. I was chosen to work with, to heal, and to transform others. But the key thing, age 10, I realized one day I was going to be sent. And so I was sent to Sudan in particular. I've worked in Sudan over 30 years. Healing, building schools, transforming communities, training leaders, the Healing the Healers program. So I always believe in making a difference in the life of leaders, and I focus particularly on leaders. And I feel I've been called to work with leaders, especially.
Yeah.
But also other communities, people, children, youth. I've trained a lot of doctors. In Sudan, I've trained soldiers, national security officers. Here, I help to rehabilitate many of our prisoners in Kamiti, Shimalatawa, Langata Women's.
Wow.
Because we're also trying to help to rehabilitate Al-Shabaab. People say, Al-Shabaab, oh my God, they're terrorists. If we don't rehabilitate and reintegrate people with trauma, they will transfer it onto our society. And you'll find in many of our communities in Kenya and beyond, people are transferring. We need to learn to transform. And I believe I've been called to transform people.
What makes you believe that this is your calling?
Of course, we say you are what you believe, right? And like today, I've been teaching all day. People who are working with the slum dwellers. I mean, my energy is so high. It is beautiful. I always tell people never remember what you say and people never remember what you do, but people never forget how you make them feel.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And helping people to feel good about themselves. Our society, people are struggling. The economy is struggling. Politically, we're struggling. Economically, we're struggling. People struggling in health, marriages. Give them hope. Because you will find that there's a lot of people willing to make people feel bad about themselves or put them down. People like me put them up. We encourage, we motivate, we empower, we energize. You're either life-giving or life-taking. And the work that I do with my colleagues at Al-Bain Institute is definitely life-giving for many, many people.
So take me through what exactly that work is that you do.
We do a lot of training.
What kind of training?
We do stress management, trauma healing and awareness training. This past month, I've done a therapeutic process with couples. So I take couples off for a 6-day retreat.
Wow.
Healing marriages. To date, we have a 100% success rate in those who've gone for the retreat. Because people need to learn to reflect, because by chance they're too often reacting. By chance we're hurting. What do? We transfer it. By chance we are transferring the hurt onto our partners. We need to transform it. By chance people are revenging. We need to teach people to forgive. By chance, many of our couples or our leaders in particular, even in Kenya, look at Tanzania right now, they're at war. We need to choose peace. One of the religious leaders in Sudan said something very interesting. We Sudanese, we know how to go to war, but we don't know how to go to peace.
Yeah.
And I help through my workshops to heal, transform, help people develop insight. How has your life, your work experience, your lived experience, how does it affect you? And so one of the key aspects of our training is the theme that we use. Minor shift, major change. When you think bad, it means it will make you feel bad. So people who feel bad think bad. But we get people to change the way they think and change the way they feel. If you can change the way you think and feel, you change the way you act. People who act bad think bad. But if you get people to change the way they think and change the way they feel and change the way they act, change the way they behave. People with bad behavior think bad.
Yeah.
If you can change people's thought process with mindfulness, changing the way they think, changing the way they feel, changing the way they act, changing the way they behave, to change the way they relate. If you have a bad thought about your partner, you'll have a bad feeling about your partner. You may have bad actions towards your partner. You may have bad behavior towards your partner. Through changing the way you think and feel and act and behave, you change the way you relate. Finally, if you can change the way you think and feel and act, behave and relate, you change the way you live with self, with others, with the world. And so the world starts to be a good place when you think positively about it. And we have an incredible world with incredible people. I think we have an incredible future. But we have to program that into our leaders, whether they're civil, political, religious, even the business people. We have to put in their minds that the future is bright.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we do in our workshops. But I'm also a therapist, so we help people to heal from pain, sorrow. And as I said, the marriages we work on, we work with the youth, we work with so many groups. Even here, I've worked with the anti-terrorist police unit.
Yeah.
And so many other groups of people, doctors, nurses. I've been teaching teachers in 17 countries.
Yeah.
So people who are leaders. And that's why Healing the Healers program that I ran is also called Healing the Leaders. If we can heal our leaders, we'll heal our communities.
Of course.
If we don't, our leaders will continue to transfer and hurt the people that they serve. And this is what we do in Albane Institute with individuals, with couples, with groups, with communities, healing and transformation work. And it's the most rewarding work you can ever imagine.
Why do you think that our leaders are doing this? Why? What is it in them that's making them be bad leaders?
Past year has been a bad one for Kenya,
Yes.
even worse, Tanzania.
Yeah.
A leader should be like a father figure, like someone you look up to, someone you admire.
Yeah.
But by chance, our leaders in all of the areas or aspects of life, at times they harm the community. And I think the most harmed community in our country, Kenya, I'm a Kenyan. You know, I'm Scottish by chance, but Kenyan by choice.
Yeah.
I think many of our leaders, be they political or religious or civil, they may have indirectly, for some directly, caused harm to our young people. By choice, we need to protect. We need to give a drive to our young people. But they're not feeling safe and secure in their society. And so what we need to do is to heal our leaders. I'd be very happy to work with our political leaders in particular,
Yeah.
because we need to get them to transform, not to transfer or to blame or to say the problem is these young people. These young people, they're just looking for a happy, healthy, prosperous future. But they don't see it right now. Pooja, one of the interesting things about trauma is good for you to hear.
Yes.
People ask me, what does trauma do to you, for example? The first thing trauma does, it affects your belief system.
Yes.
You develop a negative one. You know, if you go for a job and you say you're not going to get it, why would you get it? If you say all Kenyans are useless, where will you find the useful one?
Useful one. Yeah, right. Absolutely.
If you start saying all our politicians are bad,
Where are you going to find a good one?
where will you find the good one? We have many good politicians. We have many good leaders. But did they believe it?
No.
Did they transmit that to others? So sometimes the lifestyle that we live can also have an effect on people's opinion or belief system. So one of the first things we teach in Albane is to change your belief system. Have a healthier belief system, a positive belief system, and believe that the future is bright. I think Kenya is going to have an incredible future. And this is why I'm even worried with some of our business community. We work with CEOs and many businesses, and they talk about we're in a slump, maybe. But slumps come and slumps go. We're in a decline. Maybe. But soon things will be prosperous.
Yeah.
Things are down, but things can go up. You are what you believe. So if you're running a company and you start thinking, oh, it's down and it's bad, you're not going to move to the next day and things will get better. You cannot wait for things to get better. We need to be somehow proactive, not reactive. So when we're working with companies, we really get our CEOs and senior management team to change the way they think about themselves.
Before they expect their
Exactly.
colleagues and people who work for them to
An
change
example.
their systems. Yeah.
When our businesses are struggling or society is struggling or education is struggling or health is struggling, it's very easy for the bosses to come in and say, you're useless, you're not doing a good job, things are not working out. We don't teach people to do that. We completely discourage it.
Yes.
So for example, the CEO might see the cleaner cleaning and the cleaner's tired and, you know, there's so many demands on her. Wouldn't it be great if that CEO said, Mary, good job. Well done. You're brilliant. I'm so impressed with you. That's worth a lot of money.
Exactly.
Because the person will go home and say, "You'll never believe what the boss said to me. I'm doing a good job. I'm great. Wow, I'm so motivated." Tomorrow, her energy will increase by 50, 60, 70%.
Yeah.
And when we're working with our business community and we work with our staff already overnight, the energy is higher, the motivation, the belief system, because they actually believe we can make this work. We'll improve, we'll develop, we'll get better. You are what you believe.
Yeah. You are what you believe, for sure.
Some people come to me and say, "Oh, I'm not going to live long." Well, that will be true if that's what you believe.
That's all well and good, but unless and until the person wants to reshape his life, to rethink his belief system, and to reevaluate what he actually believes in, only then this can work, right?
So we teach two things, Ben, and one of them is insight. It's so important to know what's going on in me. But, we tend to look at what's going on in others. He's this, she's that. They are this, they
Exactly.
are that. And you? So we help people to understand the way they think. Why do you think the way you think?
Most people's answer is, well, that's just the way I am.
Well, I'm going to give you an interesting story regarding that. So with insight, you understand the way you think. We help them to understand why they think the way they think. And the way they think affects the way you feel and act and behave, as I said earlier.
Yeah.
And so insight, understanding the way you think and why you think, understanding why you feel the way you feel, understand why you act and talk and behave and relate and live.
Yeah.
A lot of it is to do with what we call in Albanian patterns are repeated.
Yeah, repeated patterns.
So I want to tell you an interesting experience I had. So I was working with a group of medical people, doctors and nurses, clinicians, surgeons. And day one of a 5-day workshop, this nurse put up her hand and she said, "Daktari, I need you to help me." I said, "Sure, what is it?" "It's a 5-day workshop." So in Albanian Institute, we do 5-day workshops of healing and transformation.
Okay.
So this was day one, first hour. I said, "What's the problem?" She said, "I've asked doctors and I've asked psychologists and psychiatrists and I've asked my parents and I've asked my friends. I've asked everybody to help me with my 7-year-old daughter. My 7-year-old daughter is very nasty. She's angry, she's aggressive, she insults me, she mistreats me, she's unkind to me, and she's very aggressive, and I don't know what to do. So what I do, I beat her every day.
Oh,
Every day I beat this child. She's only getting worse.
Oh, Lord.
Please, Daktari, tell me what the problem is." Because to date, no one's helped me with the answer. I said, the problem is very easy.
It's you.
I said, the problem is you. How were you when you were 7 years of age? She said, when I was 7 years of age, I was angry and aggressive and insulting and abusive and disruptive towards my mother, and she beat me every single day. Now, what we teach is minor shift, major change. On the last day of the workshop, she put her hand up and she said, "I'd like to give a testimony." We said, "Sure." "I've not beaten my 7-year-old daughter since Sunday." So Sunday night, I beat her. I beat her every night. Because it's a kind of thing that I was taught as a child. My husband's a pastor. Is it beat the child, spoil the rod, or don't spoil the rod, beat the child, whatever people are saying. What is very interesting, she said, last night, my daughter came to me for the first time ever. She said, "Mama, can I sit on your knee?" If I go into the room, she runs out. If I go near her, she goes away. If I want to talk to her, she doesn't want to listen. And now she's saying, "Mama, can I sit in your knee?" So I said, "Sure, baby." She said, I was so struck by the word baby. I normally call her Wewe.
Wow.
You this, you that. I don't call her by her name. And all of a sudden, what's happened in my mind? I've changed. I feel love and care and respect for her. I want to protect her, not harm her. But that was not normal until I started this Albanian workshop. She says, "Mama, I don't know if it's true, but I'm beginning to have an impression. I'm beginning to think maybe you do love me after all." The mother changed, the child changed. The mother healed, the child
Yeah.
The mother transformed, the child transformed. It was very interesting. She said to the other staff, I beg you, don't do as I did. When I'm stressed, I transfer it on to my daughter. I beat her. I shout at her. I mistreat her. From today, I will never do it again. I'll heal myself. I'll get rid of my stress. You see, Pooja, if you don't deal with your stress will deal with you.
Exactly.
If you don't manage it, it manages you.
Yeah.
If you don't control it, it controls you.
Yep.
If you don't overcome it, it will overwhelm you. If you don't sort it out, it knows how to sort you out. When you develop insight, you begin to understand who and how you are. But more importantly, you understand who and how you would like to become in the future. But there's something more important than insight. It's called foresight. So even before stress comes, even before someone hurts you, even before someone mistreats you, you already know how to deal with it. Because you're equipped with tools. And even today, I was teaching my class resilience tools. The first one, faith. Believing in yourself. Believing in others. And even, if you can, believing in your God. Spirituality is very powerful. People who are religious are connected to their religion. People who are spiritual are connected to their God, who's in all of the religions. And it's very powerful because when we're spiritual, we're connected to self and others and life and nature. Nature nurtures, huh?
Exactly.
But when we're religious, we're tough and harsh and this way and the law and the rules. No, it's all about people. That's what I believe.
Yeah, no, I absolutely believe the same thing as you. I believe religion is, it's a good foundation for people who are completely lost to go into initially, to find path and guidance and in a sense of like discipline. But then from that, you have to find spirituality because spirituality is where you find real growth. Exactly. And stepping into what you said about nature and nurturing, I believe that Mother Nature is the only thing that can heal you from anything in the world. Even just sitting, grounding, placing your feet, placing your palms flat on the ground and just being there with Mother Earth, listening to the birds, hugging the trees. There's, every single medicine that we have, it comes from plant.
We have something called, we work with addicts in Albania.
Okay.
So recovering addicts, because you can't heal an addict.
Yeah.
But you can help them to recover. And we do, of course, psychotherapy, therapy, because the vast majority of addicts, they've had trauma. But we have Karura forest therapy. We go to Karura forest and we hug trees and we pick up leaves and twigs and we get in touch with nature and it nurtures us.
Yes.
And even in Albania, we do garden therapy. Plant a tree, plant a flower, give something that's life-giving. This is spirituality.
Yeah.
Because when you are spiritual, and by the way, the most traumatized people on earth, if they heal, they tend to be the most spiritual people on earth.
Yeah.
Because they have to put a very spiritual center. They have to go deep within themselves. And that's why they will find their God, their maker, their creator, their life giver. And for me, by the way, I've trained religious leaders all over the world. In Mogadishu, I trained sheikhs. I've trained many sheikhs. And I've got many beautiful stories. In United States, I've trained rabbis.
Okay.
I go into the synagogues and train the rabbis. In last year, I was in Cameroon. I also train Catholic, but also Episcopalian and Lutheran leaders. But I was training the Catholic leaders in Cameroon last year, and they were asking me, why have you come here? And I said, well, you're at war. English-speaking Cameroon's at war. So why have you come? I said, well, let's focus on your spirituality. So I'm able to focus on their spirituality. They said, you priests and bishops, you're preachers. They said, yeah, we're all clapping. We're preachers. And I said, you priests and bishops, you're teachers like Jesus. He was a teacher. I said, yes, we're preachers and teachers. I said, but there's one thing you're not doing that Jesus did every day. They said, what is it? He was a healer.
Exactly.
What are you doing to heal God's people? I'm a great believer in working with our leaders. Our leaders need to heal and protect. They should never hurt nor harm. And that's why spirituality is important. Today, I was telling my class that you need to respect every tribe in Kenya. By the way, when we are in class and we pray, we get them to pray in mother tongue. So today they were praying Kikuyu, Kamba, Luya. And I said, every time you hear a language you don't know, rejoice. By chance, we're intolerant. By choice, we're tolerant. Enjoy other languages, other peoples, other cultures. Don't look at differences. Look at what unites us. Don't look at what divides us. And this is central to the work that I do in this world.
This podcast was created to remind you that we are all on this wellness journey together. If you're enjoying these conversations here, I'd love for you to subscribe, share, and spread this love. Your support means the world to us, and it really helps this community grow. With gratitude, lots and lots of love, always.
What is the story behind Healing the Healer? Like, what is the difference between coming to you and doing the work and conventional therapies, for instance?
So healing the healers is also healing the leaders. You know, we're proactive.
Yeah.
So a lot of people come to me like a therapist or psychiatrist or psychologist because they have problems. I would rather be proactive and let's avoid the problems. So I set up a program in Sudan to help particularly with our leaders, mostly religious, but sometimes political leaders, like Dr. Garang, and I know his family very well. Many of our leaders are broken, traumatized, overwhelmed, not coping, not managing, some misbehaving. And they need to heal. Because a leader has to be at the center of the community. They have to make a difference. And so I worked on many of these leaders. So many of the Sudanese leaders I brought to Kenya, we got them evaluated mentally, physically, emotionally. We got them checked out.
Yeah.
Some had to be treated. Some had to be medicated. Some of our leaders, because the problem of leaders, they have a lot of stress. They have a lot of trauma. And just to give you an example, they did a research in London of cirrhosis of the liver, alcohol-induced cirrhosis of the liver.
Yeah.
We're talking about doctors, lawyers, judges, politicians, clergy, journalists. These are leaders in our community. Because they're not dealing with the stress, so it's dealing with them. And so they end up self-medicating. The Dalai Lama, he said something very beautiful. We all seek happiness, but all we find is pleasure. Of course, it's pleasurable to drink and to drug. Don't ever bring happiness, because happiness is inside.
Exactly.
It's spiritual. These substances are outside. They are chemical. Chemicals can never make you happy. Happiness is about being content, being within yourself, loving, caring, appreciating yourself. So this Healing the Healers program, we help to heal and transform many of our leaders. I think one of the most successful ones, if I can share, is part of the Healing the Healers program.
Yeah.
I worked all over United States,
Okay.
13 states, with a group of people known as the Lost Boys. I don't know if you know anything about the Lost Boys program.
No.
A lot of young boys lost their families because of the war from 1983 onwards. And so the American government decided to take these so-called orphans. They call them orphans, but they're not sure whether they were orphaned because they have no contact with their parents for many years. And so many of them were broken, traumatized. They went to the United States. It was very interesting. The American government, they provided housing, but these boys did not feel they were living in a home. They were fed. They never felt nourished. They were clothed. They never felt dressed. They were taken to school. They could never be educated. Because when we're traumatized, the thinking brain shrinks. You're not able, you see, a normal healthy child has this much retention. A traumatized child has limited memory, retention. So many of these young boys in 13 states, I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds, I helped them to overcome what was overwhelming them. I helped them to transform where they were transferring. I helped them to choose better options in life. Instead of living a life of chance, live a life of choice. Today, they're doctors,
Yeah.
engineers, married men.
How did you help them?
They went through our 5-day trauma healing and awareness program in many of these states. And we help them to press that restart button, to re-equip themselves, to reprogram themselves.
But how? Like how? What do you do in those 5 days?
One of the problems of trauma, it gets stored in the human brain.
Yeah.
Okay? So you're triggered by 4 key things. Sight. So if you see things, hear things, smell things, or even touch if you've been violated. I can give you a good example here in Kenya. In 2011, South Sudan got independence. 2013, they went to war, with internal war. And I remember some Kenyans who were there during the conflict, the civil war that was going on. So they're hearing gunfire and shooting and killing. So they ended up coming to Nairobi, and I was asked to treat them with various NGOs and organizations. And I remember I was with this young man in a compound, and all we heard was, does that sound normal to you? It's pretty normal, right?
Yeah.
A builder was building.
Yeah.
So there was a craftsman, knocking on at a brick, huffing bricks, putting it into a building. It's normal. The problem of trauma, the normal is abnormal and the abnormal is normal. So trauma is stored in the area of sound. When that young man heard, he jumped on the floor and said, "Oh, we're being shot. We're going to be killed. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So something called the sympathetic nervous system, it as the fight
Yeah.
or flight response kicks in.
Yeah.
That sound triggered trauma reaction. Fight, flight, freeze. We even say fawn. But I helped him to overcome. I helped him to process. And this is what we do in healing people with trauma. We help them to process. We help them to change the story. You see, Pooja, if you're able to tell the story and it does not bring up any pain, then you know it is healed. And so the psychology of storytelling is something I do in our workshops. All of the courses we teach, we actually teach with African pictures because we've Africanized a lot of our stuff. It's not Westernized. And so we help people to retell the story, reshape the story, and to look at the story in a positive light. We help people to change the way they think about what happened to them. So in my own case, I've been in prison. Do you know why?
Nope.
Feeding the hungry.
Feeding the hungry.
Yes.
Wow.
What a criminal offense.
Terrible.
I've been kidnapped
Okay.
from my home
Here in Nairobi?
in Sudan.
In Sudan. Okay.
I have been shot at. Sometimes you see movies with vehicles, government vehicles, soldiers chasing people through deserts. You've seen it on TV.
Yeah.
It's happened to me twice. Very, very scary.
You've really lived a life.
And I was once on a firing squad. I was put on a firing squad. I cannot tell that story because I really cry. For many poor people, I built a big school. I built 5 schools in a refugee camp, a displaced camp of 360,000 people. And I went to open the school, and that day the kids were walking to the school and the security forces had surrounded the school.
Oh, Lord.
And then we were told by the local religious leader, if you dare step inside the school, which I built with donor money, proper school bricks, like our proper schools here, you enter, we'll kill you. So I decided, and I said to the local leaders, teachers, we have a choice. If we let this person take over our school, our children have no future. So you either choose to live or you choose to die. You give them a future of prosperity or a life of bliss or pain or hurt. So what are we going to do? Because I said, I'm willing to die for our children. Who will join me? And one said, I'll join you. Another said, I'll join you too. So all of these teachers said, okay. So the soldiers were standing up. We started to walk. We're like 20 meters away. And then they went down in their squat position. The guns faced at us. And I said, let's pray. And we started to pray. We started to walk, preparing to die for our children. Leaders need to be willing to die for children.
Yeah.
Leaders need to be willing to die. We prefer that they live, but they need to learn to sacrifice their lives.
For the children.
Not the other way around. You sacrifice yourself for the leader. No, leaders are special. They're chosen. As we walked towards the school, the soldiers relented. They couldn't kill us. I went to the gates and I told all the children, like 1,000, let's take over this school. And we took over that school. So for me, I don't only teach trauma, I've lived trauma.
Yeah, you've lived through it.
I know how to transform people because I had to transform myself.
Yeah.
And it's something you need to understand. In Albania, we don't talk about trauma. With my clients, I don't talk about trauma. Is that strange? I'm a trauma specialist.
I mean, I guess it's all relative, right? At the end of the day, it's if you're not talking about trauma, there's a reason behind you not talking about the trauma. It's because you're going to bring up those emotions again and again and remind them of that horrific. Why do you want to remind somebody of something so horrifying that they've been through, right?
Do no harm.
Yeah.
If you go to a doctor and you got malaria, does they say, where's that mosquito?
No.
Your bedroom?
Yeah.
Maybe it's in your living room. Maybe it's your toilet. He doesn't ask, does he?
No.
Where did the mosquito bite you? The arm, the leg, the toe, the knee?
No.
He's not looking for cause. He's looking for effect. And so in my own life, how did I heal myself from trauma? I had to name, claim, and tame the effects. And those effects were very bad. If you're spiritual, let God.
Yeah.
It's powerful to let go and to let your God deal with it. Because we cannot change the past. But you can change the way you think and feel and act and behave and relate and live from your past experiences. And that's what we do in Albania.
I also think that if you're somebody who's healed from a trauma or anything, only then you can offer healing to others. If you are still cycling in your own trauma and suffering in your own, and you've still not dealt with your own trauma or healing, then it's very difficult for you to be able to even offer somebody that space to heal. So in order for, like in my journey, for me to heal, I needed to, before I could help anyone else heal, I needed to heal myself first. I need to find myself first, and then only I could help other people heal. And, you spoke about CPTSD, that you had CPTSD. What is the difference between PTSD and CPTSD? Because I don't think many people will know what those are.
Okay, let's look at the 5 stages. So
Okay.
Stress. We get stressed, right?
Yeah.
Anything can stress you. It could be anything. It doesn't matter. But the effect is not so great. It depends on how long the stress lasts for and how much the stress comes in. You can control stress. Sometimes it goes beyond stress and it becomes distress, where you get disturbed and disorientated, as I said before. What happens if it's trauma? Stress and distress come from normal events. Trauma is an abnormal event. You have abnormal reactions and abnormal feelings. You're overwhelmed. So your coping tools and skills, which we teach in Albania, are challenged. Or they disappear. Or they don't work. Some people who are in long-term trauma, like long-term war, long-term abuse, they may go on to develop what we call as PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And for soldiers, it's a very high percentage. That's why there's a high percentage of suicide and homicide among them. So post-traumatic stress disorder tends to come 6 weeks to 18 months after you settle.
Mm-hmm.
And a very interesting statistic for you, when we had post-election violence in, was it 2007 or so?
Yeah. I got married then.
6.2 million Kenyans were believed to develop post-traumatic stress disorder. The result is many people became addicts, alcoholic, drug addict. And we have a lot among our youth or impoverished peoples. So PTSD is more difficult. And I want to give you a few symptoms of PTSD. It will begin with sadness. If you don't deal with it, it will develop probably into depression. Anyone who's depressed for 14 days or more should be medicated, by the way.
Okay.
It's a hormonal thing. You have to boost their serotonin levels. We have to medicate and also counsel them, help them to change the way they think. But PTSD is very sneaky. You go from feeling sad, feeling depressed, to feeling hopeless. And you're not even aware of it. You wake up one day, you're feeling sad, depressed, and hopeless, which makes you helpless, which makes you feel useless, which makes you feel powerless. If you take it up another degree, you start to disconnect from loved ones. If you take it another degree, you're in despair. If you go beyond the despair, your suicidal thoughts. You go above to the next one, suicidal plans. You start planning it. You go above, you kill yourself.
Yeah.
That's PTSD. So what is CPTSD?
Yeah.
Which I have suffered from. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder. It's very, very severe. And so your ability to cope is really very, very minimal. And I'm going to tell you how I dealt with it, because it's a question you asked me earlier about spirituality. Are you spiritual? The answer is coming now. This is the right time. For my complex post-traumatic stress disorder, it's very interesting because it's also something to do why I exist today. I went for counseling in Ireland. I needed it. So the complex post-traumatic stress disorder completely, totally breaks you. So what healed me?
Yeah. What healed you?
The power of prayer.
The power of prayer, right?
God-centered. Spirituality. Refinding purpose. Because I really believe we get sick for a purpose. We get lost for a purpose. We get confused for a purpose. We get disappointed for a purpose. It's not the end. It is the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some of the greatest people on earth, leaders, think of Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, and one of the greatest leaders in Africa, Nyerere.
Yeah.
You know, Nyerere is a man who prayed and fasted. He would go to parties, I don't need, I'm fasting today. When you fast, when you starve the body, you feed the soul. We need more leaders who feed their souls.
Yeah.
And I had to refine my God. I had to refine my purpose. I had to press that restart button and ask myself, why was I in jail? For feeding the hungry? I used to think I'm going to get an award by my own government or by the Sudanese government. You know, it reminds me of Archbishop Oscar Romero of San Salvador. He used to say, the government would say to him, when you feed the hungry, he would say, when I feed the hungry, the government would say to me, you're a saint. When I feed the hungry, they call me a saint. When I ask why are they hungry, they call me a communist. And they killed him.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to die for what we believe in. For me, I don't want to die for what I believe in. I have to live for what I believe in.
Absolutely.
And that spirituality is the heartbeat. Because when we are traumatized, we lose faith in self, in others, in life,
Exactly.
God, in the future. And there's a beautiful passage in the Psalms that the Jews will read to us. Be still and know that I am God. He works in the mysterious of ways, and it's often in pain that we find him. And I found my God and my purpose in my life, in my pain, and I help other people to reinterpret their pain. And that's what I do every day of my life. And I just love it.
I can see that. I can see it on your face, how much you love and how passionate you are about your work. So what would you say is next? Where do you see your company going in the next decade?
I spend most of my time in war. It's not been easy. All the wars that's going on, I've been there. We're spending more time in Kenya now.
Yeah.
I feel God is calling me to work on our political leaders. They can make it or break it. They can make our life better or worse. And I believe, and we're being invited to work with our political leaders. So it's very beautiful. But I would say let's start from the top. and go down. We also need to work with our religious leaders, because why political and religious? And I think this is the work that we do. We have a very beautiful institute in Runda.
Yeah.
I hope you can come by and see our place, because it's very much, nature is a very important part of it.
No, definitely. I definitely want to come visit in the new year.
Many of our political and religious leaders have the most influence in society. They can invite them to give life or to bring death. They can bring hope or the opposite. So if we can heal our political leaders or civil leaders or religious leaders, because my fear is our Gen Zs are suffering. They don't know who are the leaders. They even say they're leaderless. We need leaders. Leaders are very important. But I think the most important leaders I want to work with in the future is the leaders of the economy. Many of our people are broke, university graduates, no jobs. We need work. We need a better economy. And so working with CEOs, working with companies. By the way, the companies that we work with, some of them like Kenyan Airways, Safaricom, forgive me for using them, even Healthy You and people like that. I hope I'm allowed to mention them. These are incredible companies who believe in healing their staff. If you feel that your staff is important, invest in them. Invest in what? Well-being. Well-being is about being well. Many of our leaders are unwell, unhappy.
Yeah.
So I believe with our economic leaders, working with their staff or political leaders, transforming them, or religious leaders, help them to redirect their energies, not into preaching and teaching only, but healing.
Healing.
What can our political or religious or civil or economic leaders, as I call them, do to heal our people, but also families? We need to heal our families because our families are dividing.
Yeah.
Our families are struggling. And so this is why I do a lot of work with couples. If you can heal a couple, you'll heal a family, you'll heal a future, you'll heal a generation. I think this is the future for Al Bain.
Beautiful.
Because our motto is, let's make sense out of all the nonsense that people have to go through this life. How? With a minor shift and a major change.
Amazing. That's so beautiful. And I think that is such a nice high note to end on. I'm so grateful for your presence today and for all that you've been through, because your experiences is what we're going to learn from today. So thank you so much for spending this time today with us and for sharing this amazing information. I will definitely add your website and all the information onto the captions of this episode. I hope more and more people reach out to you and more people seek the right healing and the right kind of help that they require, definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very grateful.
Thanks.